All right, y'all, I got the weirdest thing I've ever seen in the game. And although this is almost certainly like would be considered an exploit, so like don't go abuse this for just. All right, let me just show you real quick. Then it says minions have a flag that say do not drop. Right? Like that kind of makes sense to me. Whoa! Okay. You want to have, it doesn't matter what type of skeleton you have. You just want to be able to swap between two active options. Do the same thing with mages. It doesn't matter which one you swap to. And all we're going to do is we're going to resummon them. I use blood mist to generate corpses, be able to spawn more of them in between tests. And what you do is you sacrifice them. Then you sacrifice them. And then you sacrifice it. And that's it. And we're just going to see if everybody's minions dying will make us a bunch of Angel's Breath. As many dead summons as you can. So I just generated an Angel's Breath from mine. Did anybody else see an Angel's Breath there? You got one as well. Supremo didn't get one. Neeks did get one. Okay. Okay, so Eerie did not get one. Okay. Oh, somebody else just dropped one, and I got an Angel's Breath. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So, you got one from your own. I just got one from yours. Okay. Okay. You see two now. Unlimited, yeah, just keep going through it a little bit, and let's see how many we can generate. Oh, I just dropped another one from one of you. Who dropped that one? Yeah, it turns out you could just like auto farm very specifically Angel Breath by sacrificing your Necromancer skeletons for like 3 to 5 drops. And then you need to go start a new dungeon and then do it again. And for whatever reason, it just keeps dropping Angel's Breath in multiple stacks. You can get like 1 to 3. That's the highest that I saw. And it seems to dry out after a certain while. So we've gone and tested. Obviously, you see a bunch of people here in my group. Turns out if you get 4 Necromancers in a group all together, you get data a lot faster. But the funny part is that this all just happened because I was trying to theory craft like this pure corpse explosion Necromancer that used these skills to be able to, use near infinimus technology to just permanently spam army. It's not good. But I noticed that when I went to go swap my skeletal mages down to cold mages, 2 of them died and they both dropped Angel's Breath. And it happened so quickly, I almost like gaslit myself into thinking, I don't know, something must have, like they exploded a bin or something, because I couldn't get it to replicate it. It wouldn't happen. We sat there for maybe 20 minutes in that same dungeon, just doing it over and over and over again. I would summon them with Army of the Dead, make additional corpses with Blood Mist, and then I would sacrifice them all and nothing happened. So I went out into the open world thinking, well, I need more corpses to be able to test this more quickly. Maybe it's just a super low drop rate, but for whatever reason, your skeletons can drop items. And it never worked in the open world. In fact, I went to a Legion event and it never worked at the Legion event. I went into a cellar and it never worked in the cellar. On top of that, I went into a regular dungeon and it never worked in a regular dungeon. Oh, and we're also here in the Echoes of Lilith dungeon and it didn't work here either. After some initial testing, and then, actually corroborating those findings again and again and again, it turns out that for whatever reason, Sacred and Ancestral Nightmare dungeons have this like pity drop mechanic in them or something that says drop Angel's Breath at least X number of times. When we had everybody in the dungeon, we were very quickly dropping Angel's Breath, and all of the other Necromancers in my party would sometimes get those drops as well. So it's dropping global loot, a very typical, group loot instance logic there. It says, okay, are we dropping loot? Yes, everybody gets some Angel's Breath. So while you can multiply your output by 4 by having 4 Necromancers in the group, you never get more than 2 to 5 drops of the materials, no matter what you do. We tested it pretty extensively. We sat there for another 10-15 minutes, maybe 8 more cycles of sacrificing all of our minions. So for whatever reason, in Sacred and Ancestral Nightmare dungeons, the game will attempt to drop you Angel's Breath. And for whatever reason, that's overriding the fact that your minions aren't supposed to be able to drop items when they die. Somebody in chat anecdotally said that at one point one of their minions dropped like a white base item. I haven't been able to replicate that. Another person in chat actually was testing the exact same thing, but with the companions for druids, and it works for them too. If you sit there and summon them and unsummon them and sacrifice them or kill them, whatever druids do, you can also drop Angel's Breath, and it seems to follow the exact same kind of logic. Now, like I said, this isn't some kind of like infinite farm drop any item. You're not about to drop a Shaco here, and it's not even like you can trade Angel's Breath, right? These things don't have any inherent value. And there's no way that after I make this video, the devs don't take this out, you know, and before we get a Twitter thread that says we've disabled Angel's Breath or whatever. But it's a weird, interesting little thing. I think it actually speaks much more to what the logic in Nightmare Dungeons is. I think this points to some kind of logic where it has a global table that it says, if we haven't dropped enough items, attempt to drop items. And then it's kind of interesting, right? If you go look through the materials that you have, you'll notice that I have a lot of Angel's Breath, but Gallovine drops everywhere too. But I just have an exceptionally high amount of Angel's Breath. It might be that it's first in the alphabet for items which can drop from non-elite monsters. Like obviously you can also drop abstruse sigils and coiling wards, but I've only seen these drop from elite monsters. Don't quote me on that, but that's the only time that I've seen these dropped. So it might just be it's trying to drop items according to a global table. Angel's Breath is first in line, so it just drops from that one automatically, and that might be why all of us just kind of have more of this stuff than you would typically expect. I just find it very weird that this only happens in Sacred and Ancestral Nightmare Dungeons as opposed to any other content. The other thing that I find interesting about it is that it dries up after a while. Like it will not continue to drop them no matter how many times you summon and unsummon your minions. Again, after like 2 to 4, maybe 5 drops. And it says to me that there's some kind of pity system in the game that says drop a minimum number of items if there aren't any like naturally forcing drop rolls, either from killing a monster, from opening a chest, whatever. That just says make sure a minimum number of items have dropped, because we need to drop items because content is being cleared and monsters are dying. And this is all pure conjecture. I clearly don't know how the game is coded, but trying to follow along with what's happening and what we can replicate, that's the thing that makes the most sense to me. But there you go. Until they patch this out, if you ever happen to notice that your skeletons are just weirdly dropping Angel's Breath when they die, you're not crazy. You haven't lost your mind. You can replicate and do this yourself. Might take you a few tries, but like you will drop a couple. Obviously, maybe this is one of the reasons why there isn't free trading of everything, right? Because finding something like this, we could be, you know, what if we were dropping something ridiculous here, like Shaco or whatever, right? We would absolutely go ruin the market with it. So maybe it's not a bad thing. I don't know. But it was interesting. I just wanted to show everybody because I think it's pretty wild. I don't think it has any like cool exploitative, you know, use cases here, I guess, unless you're like super low on Angel's Breath. But again, definitely would be considered an exploit, almost certainly a bannable offense if we had like legitimate seasons or anything that they actually cared about where this could negatively impact people. So don't go out and intentionally try to abuse it, but at the very least, if you see it happening, that's why it's happening. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you to everybody and my team here who helped me test it out. That was awesome. Just a bunch of people from chat joined into the group. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. And thank you for the people who were just sitting in chat being like, hey, I'm also testing it. This is what's happening. I super appreciate all of you. But yeah, that's it. Just wanted to show you all. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that entertained you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.